I thought it was really interesting that the movie, it's quite small scale and quite intimate, really. It's largely kind of takes place over one night, apart from the introduction. It's one family, kind of one event. Can you talk me through, the kind of thinking behind keeping things quite small scale and intimate like that?
It just seemed to be what the film wanted. The first draft was written during COVID, during that whole lockdown. As you know, it was a very unsettling time, very discombobulating to spend all day indoors and have this. As you remember from that time, it also felt like it was going to go on forever. I couldn't see the end of it.
Yeah.
After 3 months of being in the house, I was like, is this just it for the rest of time? And so my wife, who I co-wrote the film with, Corbett, she and I put all our anxieties and frustration about that COVID into the script, and it felt right for it to be isolated. I remember I used to walk the dog where I live in Los Angeles. I'd walk the dog around my neighborhood. It was so desolate and eerie. It was like 28 days later, and I'm listening to this music as I'm walking the dog, and it was all that vibe was seeping into the script. And so to me, it just felt right for it to be a family isolated.
It's funny you kind of mentioned 28 days later. I thought it kind of played off almost like it was a twist on a zombie film, just the way that it it all kind of unfolds, which is not really how you normally think of a werewolf. You normally think of them kind of as a bit more supernatural. Can you talk me through that, creating this a bit more of a grounded idea of the werewolf or the wolfman?
Yeah. I mean, when I took the job and was like, I'm going to do this, I was just thinking, what's my way in? That's what felt interesting to me. It's kind of my style. It's what I did with Invisible Man. I was like, can I make the idea of invisibility not seem outlandish, but seem like something that could happen? Now we're at the point with self-driving cars and all this where I'm thinking it is around the corner, invisibility. These science fiction concepts can just suddenly appear in your life. So with this, I was thinking, okay, what's my 1 degree of reality? And I felt like disease was a good thing. And also disease felt like the right way to go because the story of transformation, the thing that sprang into my head was the bodily transformation that someone who's suffering from a degenerative illness, whether they're suffering from multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's or anything, any nerve damage, someone who suffered a stroke, that seemed to really mirror the werewolf transformation. So that was really the thinking behind it.
It does feel like there's a lot of, I guess, unanswered questions throughout the movie. Like we don't really know where this infection came from or why there are these group of hunters that seem to live and contain whatever's going on in this forest. Was that something that you wanted to imbue in the movie, a bit of mystery or kind of letting audiences figure it out for themselves?
Yeah, I did want a bit of mystery in there. You have to decide how much am I going to give to the audience, how much not. I find personally horror movies scarier when there is a lot left off. One of my favorite horror films of all time, if not my favorite, is The Shining, and another movie about a family of 3 in an isolated location. But so many unanswered questions in that film, and it becomes, for me, those unanswered questions have added to my love of that movie and what I take from it. And I'm always looking for hints. And so I think it's that type of thinking, yeah.
Is there any other, you've talked about the Invisible Man, now Wolfman. Is there any other kind of like creature feature thing that you would want to reinvent in this new way?
The classic monsters, I've always thought, just as a film fan, I would love someone to do a modernized version of Jekyll and Hyde. So I think that's such an interesting story with the protagonist and the antagonist being the same person. But as far as creature features, I still think, having grown up in the VHS era, I would love to do an alien film. The thing that I love about aliens and extraterrestrial species, is the room that you have. There's no rules. You can literally do anything. We humans have created this little green man mythology, but it's completely owned by us. The films like the last 20 minutes of 2001 is where I would want to lean, because it's like whatever is out there is not going to be something it's going to be beyond our comprehension. So that is something that haunts me, making a truly unique alien life film.
I thought there were some really interesting scenes in the movie. Was there any that, you particularly really enjoyed filming, or that really kind of, when you were filming it, you were like, this is going to be pretty sick?
Yeah, there's one scene, without spoiling it, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a scene involving an insect. The main character is hearing something, and I really loved shooting that, and I just felt like we've got something unique here. Part of what you were saying before about the transformation, slowing down and presenting it more as an illness as opposed to one big mic drop of a scene. That jigsaw piece of that I was really excited about.
What kind of research did you do in terms of bringing like werewolf mythology to the screen in a new way? Like, where did you kind of start from?
Well, I thought about all the werewolf films I've seen, but I was almost using them as a guardrail of where not to go. You know, like that's been done and done well. I'll never beat Rick Baker's makeup, and Arian, who did the makeup on this movie, he would agree. He's friends with Rick Baker and he doesn't want to compete with it. So I actually based my research more on real life conditions, researching Alzheimer's, researching dementia, ALS, Parkinson's disease, just the sort of steps and compacting them. You know, when you're suffering from one of these illnesses, it often takes years and it's very slow. I'm actually squishing it down into one night. So it was this weird parallel track of slowing it down, but also reflecting something in real life that happens much slower. So I hope that I achieved that weird balance. So the film is breathless, yet feels like you're going on this journey.
Yeah. I think that's that's a fair way to describe it.
Okay, good.
By the end of the movie, I was like, all right.